Styxhexenhammer is? He's a Nazi. We can look at him. How to succeed and overcome depression. When was this? 10 hours ago? Oh, I didn't know he was coping through it. Maybe I'll watch this too. I didn't fucking know. This is Styxhexenhammer. He's like an avowed Nazi, white supremacist, piece of shit. As you can see, he's not necessarily the pinnacle of the race. We're not putting our best foot forward with this particular white supremacist. From the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. This is the booking information for Tarl Warwick, which is, of course, Styxhexenhammer's name. He was arrested for domestic abuse battery in Louisiana. Now, obviously, right-wingers doing domestic abuse for us is not a big deal. I think of note, we're burying the lead a little bit. This guy's name is fucking Tarl. What the fuck was going on there? I have no other commentary on that besides what the fuck is going on there. And I think we're all in the same boat. What the fuck is going on there? I don't think it wasn't meant to work out with this guy. Can you imagine looking at this guy and being like, Tarl, stop! Tarl, no! What a piece of shit. Anyway, so he actually lives in Vermont. Actually, he tried to move. He was in Vermont and moved to like the Netherlands or something, but he's not like allowed there or something. His wife is back there with their kid, and he's now down in New Orleans right now. I think maybe visiting or something, but he got caught in New Orleans for domestic abuse battery and went to jail because he was with his ex-girlfriend who lives in New Orleans and like was cheating on his wife and then beat up his ex-girlfriend while he was on this like tryst thing. So he's not having a good time. This is why he uploaded a video called How to Succeed and Overcome Depression. But he's been posting through it, man. So this happened like literally, was it the 1st? Yeah, book date, October 1st. It's the 3rd now. So on the 30th, the day before, he was denying the reality of climate change by saying hurricanes never existed before SUVs were invented, because he's a genius, you see. He's a very smart fella. Right before your eyes, you can watch the storms getting worse, the heat getting hotter, the climate changing, and yet it's just hurricanes existed before. Anyway, he said ingrates must fend for themselves. Now, an ingrate is an ungrateful person, but I think some right-wingers use it to mean like dumb people or something. So I don't ever really know if they're using it correctly, but this could have something to do with the domestic abuse. Sorry, it's both domestic abuse battery. Maybe that's about that. I don't know. But this is how this guy talks. He then went on. This is at like 6:30 at night or something, 6:45. And then after that, called Kamala Harris camel toe because he's normal. This is how normal non-freak people talk. Read the post. I didn't even read what she said. Donald Trump intends to end the Affordable Care Act and has no plan to replace it. He said he has the concepts of a plan. He's going to threaten the health insurance of 45 million. First of all, I'm going to retweet Kamala Harris. Let's go, K-Hive. K-Hive until election night. Well, K-Hive until inauguration, really. And then we can keep pressing on the libs. But not to critique this post, but I don't think she is doing the part of this. She's just sort of making fun of Donald Trump. Normal service may or may not return soon. So this is like today. After he got arrested by the cops, he was in jail, and he talks about jail in a second, confirming all of this. He reached out to TheQuartering for bail, and TheQuartering paid the bail. Now we'll be watching a video in a little bit after this where TheQuartering 5 days ago said, today sucks, just had to lay off an entire team. Please hear me out until the end. But now, days after uploading this, TheQuartering is bailing out domestic abuse and batterer Tarl Warwick, a.k.a. Styxhexenhammer, the fucking Nazi. So, like, it's got so many layers to this. It's very weird. I didn't even know Styxhexenhammer and TheQuartering were bros, but now TheQuartering is bailing out this guy after beating a lady, which is frankly surprising given his frame. But I mean, like, you know, what assault's assault. He's like posting about it, and this is so interesting. So this guy is like he's like, oh, George Floyd deserved to die, essentially. Like, I mean, he's pro cops. He loves to lick boots. He's a fascist. He's definitely a fucking white supremacist fascist, and loves the police system and always talks about how they're good. By the way, the $7,500 bond. He couldn't have spent $7,500 on his staff to keep their jobs? He had to pay Tarl's bond. Great job. Here's his first post from about the jail. Honestly, the criminals and criminals in name were way cooler and more chill than jail staff. This man is suddenly becoming anti-police and jailers because he has now been taken to jail and experienced how the treatment works. That's so fucking stupid. Way cooler. So now he likes criminals now that he is one? That's so fascinating. Are you sure that the cops couldn't have just shot you because you weren't complying or whatever? You know? Funny story. One dude brought weed into the room and he and like 5 others were smoking it. I was like, dude, da fuck. This is hard to read. This is cringe. Dude, the fuck. But the guards outside smelled it. He never returned to the room, thought they were batshit. Another funny one of the first things I saw in jail was a dude nonchalantly opening a packet and snorting coke. And then he finishes, so long story short, I was absent due to being in jail in New Orleans for a week due to stupidity. Met a really cool murderer? And a dude in for drug dealing. Plenty of chill criminals. More chuckleheads than the general population. Plenty of chill criminals. Met a really cool murderer. What the fuck kind of guy is this? I don't understand how he is now trying to, like, cope through the I'm a criminal shit. The murderer was cool? What was cool about him, Styx? I mean, Tarl. Due to stupidity, is that an admission of guilt? Not my own stupidity. Which, I mean, definitely implies just more misogyny and just dumb shit, right? Anyway, he shouts out Quartering for, what a brosif. What a brosif. Thanks, Brotato Chip. This guy pretending that he's what a brosif. Met a cool dude. Snorting dude. Another dude. He doesn't usually talk like this. There seems to be a version of this guy who doesn't perform masculinity quite well. You know what I mean? Kind of trying to put on a little bit of like, it was no big deal. But obviously it's a little bit of a big deal. I want to see how to succeed and overcome depression, because he just uploaded this after going to jail. Why I was absent for a week, went to jail. Maybe I'll just watch that.
All right, everyone, talk about weird times.
Wow. The quality of this is kind of what I expected, I guess. Over or under on him being in tears in the jail cell? Definitely. He looks like he had a long night.
Probably were wondering where I was for an entire week.
Final answer. Thanks for following. Final answer like Regis Philbin or like a Nazi? Pick one.
Actually, I was in jail. Don't worry, I'm gonna have no problem with the charges. They're pretty spurious. But
They're pretty spurious?
I do have some fun stories in regards to that. Now, of course, I'm not going to talk about the specifics of the case for legal reasons. And actually, it turns out that Jeremy, TheQuartering, was the one that posted my bond. So a big shout out to him. I owe him a number of free live streams as a result of this. I just want to...
That's so weird. This is such a weird vibe. I think they call that a final solution. Well, you never know, man.
To tell a little bit about the experience, though.
Yeah, let's hear your experience. God, he looks dirty. He's like Asmongold.
Dragged off by the police and get booked and all this bullshit. And then you go to jail. Not prison, it's just jail. Temporary holding while they, figure out sort of what's going on. Then you have to go and do a court date and give your testimony and stuff like that, and then they figure it out later. Here's my experience. Overall, there were some very unpleasant things about it, but then there were things about it that were surprisingly easygoing. For instance, one of the first things that I saw when I arrived in the jail was actually a dude snorting cocaine. He had a little white packet, and he was like chopping it up with his fingers, and then he had like a little straw, and he was snorting it.
Yeah, you got to do it. You're in jail now. You got cocaine on you. You just got to do it all.
I'm like, what? How did you get it in here? Then I realized, oh shit, they don't really have any drug checking in here.
Yeah.
He was an older dude too. It was like a dude in his 60s, and I thought that was surreal. I'm like, that's the first time, by the way, that I've even seen cocaine, and it happens to be in a fucking jail holding cell.
Well, when you're surrounded by criminals like cops, you're gonna find some drugs and stuff around. The Geico caveman really fell off. Fuck. He looks like, yeah, a little Asmongold, a little caveman, definitely emaciated.
But prior to, getting your orange jumpsuit and shit like that, that was strange. Then at another point, let me talk about one unpleasant experience first. In well, they're not really cells, but like little glassed off rooms that, you get locked into at night. You're sleeping like 12 people to a room, in a room that's way, way smaller than my bedroom at Justana. Unfortunately, they have a shortage of blankets there.
Yeah.
And so I slept on a bare floor for a week, like with no covering at all.
Yeah. In the holding cell? No, he slept in it for a week in Louisiana. Yeah, man, this is half fascism, dude. Yeah, the cops are bad. Prisons and jails are stupid and bad.
I was lucky if I could get a little towel to use, fold it up and use as a pillow just for my head to keep that from hurting. I've got bruises on my arms and on my legs as a result of this. It was almost unbearable, that part, because
It was almost unbearable, and he did it for fucking 5 days.
To be an insomniac anyway, so that wasn't necessarily the most pleasant thing in the world. But at the same time, there was one hilarious...
Yeah, man, he advocates for this system. He advocates for this to be carried out on other people all the time. This won't change a thing about his fucking personality. He's just going to triple down.
Hilarious incident, like on the 4th night or something. We had one person in the room, and I believe he was Hispanic. He went out, and he brought back some, I guess, friends of his. They weren't even sleeping in the room. And they started smoking weed in the room. Again, I was like, when I looked over, and I saw what they were doing, I could smell it, and I look over, and I see him smoking, and with his friends. And
this is the Nazi guy who made videos like that. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
In the little, like, sectioned off, like, quasi-bathroom thing, I'm like, holy hell, what the fuck are you doing? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, why are you doing that in here? And they just kind of ignored me. Apparently this is normal sometimes. Then the guard outside smelled smoke, and so they went into the room, and the 3 of us that were in there at the time, of course, had to, get searched and everything like that. And of course, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it.
He's such a, like, naive guy.
I was the only one that was cleared to actually come back in the room right away. They never came back, so I'm assuming that they got charged with some additional crime or something. I don't know if pot is legal in Louisiana. Not 100%.
Pot is not legal in Louisiana. It's not. Because it's a fascist state. It really is. Sometimes I go to Louisiana because we have family stuff down there, and it is unpleasant, to say the least. The vibe is bad, in my opinion.
% sure. I'm still here in the New Orleans area, actually.
New Orleans? God.
As we speak.
New Orleans.
So it was a very interesting experience, but one thing that I noticed above all is that the actual, like, the people that are charged with crimes, they're the...
Reenactment of the cops at his door.
Excuse me, but I'm Ward Rackley.
You're Ward Rackley?
It's one of my many monikers, yes.
Carl.
I'm also known as Mendelgar of the Northwoods, and in certain company, Austin Osman Starklavartard.
Wow.
Chill ones. It's still like the people that are charged with crimes. They're the chill ones.
Yeah, you don't say. You don't say. Of course the cops suck, man.
It's the people that are running the jail that are unchill. No.
Yeah. Yes. You're dumb. You're a dumb guy. How can you be a right-winger? How can you support the cops and the police? Wingless, thanks for following.
Not all of them, but some of them. Also, the thing that Manson said back in an interview in the 70s about the sound of prison being like loud shouting and stuff like that. That's actually true.
You didn't go to prison. You didn't go to prison.
Everyone was shouting. If you expect a good night's sleep, it's going to be a long night for you. Now, again, I expect to beat these charges specifically. I don't think there'll be a problem with that, so no worries there. But that's why I was absent for a week. Yeah, I was in a jail in New Orleans, actually, and it was a very strange experience. I wouldn't
incredibly cucked.
say a pleasant one. Definitely an unpleasant experience for someone who likes freedom of movement as much as me. But honestly, on some levels, not quite as bad as I expected. Originally, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in jail. And then I was like, oh, well, you know, the food fucking sucks. I didn't eat very much for that entire week, other than a few snacks. You know, the jailhouse, the soup and grits and stuff like that. Ugh.
We don't even fucking feed students in this country. Think we're gonna feed prisoners anything, man? This country fucking sucks. We could be so much better. Okay, so hear me out on prison, okay? If you are a big for prison person, I think you should reconsider. Do you think a person who is... So why does crime happen? Typically, it's lack of resources, right? And usually it's money in this case that can buy you things that you need to live. But really, like fundamentally, it's lack of stability in those resources, like not being able to have food, shelter, education, stuff that you need. You're not going to be able to get that done. So desperation makes people fucking, act certain ways, and then certain cultures build around that shit. Obviously, in America, we have lots of complex social systems, but a lot of it's racism, a lot of it's capitalism. So I think if you have an outlier in society, and we're the most incarcerated country on the planet per capita, which is fucking crazy, we should try to figure out why people are committing crimes and then try to get it so that they're not committing crimes anymore. And I think a situation where you provide someone like a quality space for their mental health would be good. So not sleeping on the floor, having some nutrition, having a place to yourself. Now I understand that like in this temporary holding jail situation, you might have a few people, but some bunks, We don't have to treat everybody like fucking shit all the time. He even admitted, and he's a fascist, like most of the criminals in there were fucking normal and fine. The most anyone got up to was doing some drugs, and I'm fucking for drugs being legal, so I don't care. If they have access to healthcare, they should have access to drugs too. I mean, just go do that shit. It is the land of the free. Let's fucking go, dude. So I mean, like, how are we gonna do anything but ensure recidivism in prison if we treat everybody that visits like shit? How are they gonna learn how to socialize and be anything other than antisocial if they are treated like dog shit at all turns of life? How's that ever going to change? Hurt people, man. It's just going to keep happening.
Mainly just I ate the vegetables and shit like that. I'm looking forward to a real meal now, actually. So I suggest you keep your nose clean. You don't want to have to eat that sort of stuff. And I saw people, they're like wolfing it down. I'm like, how can you even eat some of that food? Although I do admit that the mashed potatoes that they made actually were kind of on point. The one thing I noticed is that they don't use much salt in their food, actually. So yeah, that's why I was absent for a week. I was actually in a jail here in New Orleans, and I shouldn't have had to go there in the first place, but it is what it is. It's all good. That's about all.
Have you guys ever seen? Is it Review of the Week? Is that who it is? Report of the Week. It's like if Report of the Week was a Nazi and dirty.
Hello, everyone.
I like Report of the Week.
This is Running on Empty.
Whatever this person's vibe is just so precisely them. Do you think like the long fingernails you can't fake? You know what I mean? The slick back hair, like you can't fake this shit. You live this. The whole everything in the house is always like this. Like, what's going on? I need to know more. I need to know what you're like when you're not on this camera. Like, you just like that? I love that. I need to know more. I need a podcast. Not from this guy. Anyway, Styxhexenhammer, hilarious. It is hilarious that he had to experience this, and I hope... he's saying that he's going to beat the charges. I hope he didn't actually do anything bad, but if he did, that I hope he faces the repercussions of his actions, because that's certainly tracks with his personality. Anyway, he was down there, not with his wife, so this will have further ripples in his life, I'm sure.
Okay. Let's kill him. Let's kill this guy. Let's beat him to death with hammers.
I didn't do it. That wasn't me. Thank you, Quebeca.